guys, this is Tom. Welcome to the PernStar channel. Thank you so much for your time and your willingness to click on this. I decided to start a YouTube channel to go along with my other social media stuff, So, of course, you have your Facebook account to like chat with people and coordinate events and stuff. And then you've got your Instagram for posting pictures and all that other good stuff. But I feel like YouTube is really cool to actually show like build logs and working on cars and things. For today's video, I want to give you an intro of the channel, what you can expect, talk quickly about the 3 cars that are going to be featured a lot, content. So I really like going to the track a lot, driving a lot, and I enjoy thoroughly editing event videos. I've done it for a while and I've shared them on Facebook a lot, and so I'm going to host these here now on the YouTube channel. Then I've done some, let's call them how-to or educational videos in the past. I was trying to help people out a little, and I feel like I would really like to do that more, to be honest, because I've got quite a bit of background in automotive. I've been basically in engineering for like 20 years now, and I've worked on cars my whole life. I've always been around motorsport stuff, and I really got hooked on drifting. Content-wise, builds, how-tos, and event edits, that's what you can expect. That brings us to the cars. So for this season, I'm going to focus on 3 of them. Right here, this is probably my favorite car I've ever owned. This is my 2014 Subaru BRZ that I lovingly call Bluebaroo, or Blue for short. So I picked her up brand new off the dealership lot in Texas in 2014. Went to a P.O. box, picked up a whole bunch of mods, drove it across the border to my house in Mexico where I lived at the time, had her up on check stands, and had her out on track literally within the first week I owned this car. So she only has 3,200 and some miles on the clock, because this car is literally a dedicated track toy, and she's been through a lot with me. She's been a good girl, but pretty much every panel has been bashed in at some point. She's got a wonderfully done TRF cage in her, lots of custom carbon fiber from Marsh Composites out of Ohio, and suspension-wise, what you guys probably care about most, it's all FDF up front. Not in the back yet, but we'll see. That is a good chance that could change. Currently there's just some custom modified stuff out back that works really well, but there's always room for improvement, of course. Under the hood of this car is just your stock FA20 with a stock clutch, stock trans. Then it goes into the stock drive shaft and then into an IS 300 junkyard diff that has about 45 degrees of backlash and is probably on its way out. To add a little more power to this anemic beast, she's sporting a tiny little Sentry, like a blower, the size of a hair dryer basically. And it's a wonderfully balanced chassis. I just absolutely love driving this car. It's definitely one of my favorite cars I've ever owned. And it's my seat time car, so I have no plans on getting silly on the power with this. I just want this to look cool. I want this to be goofy, custom wing out back that makes no sense, things of that nature, And I just want to turn laps after laps after laps without bankrupting myself for tires. So this car fits that bill perfectly. So for the 2021 season, there's really nothing major in the works for Blue. Okay, so on to car number 2. My 95 GT Mustang that I picked up for next to nothing, and actually bought it because it was 100% rust free. The shell on this is completely mint. It was so unmolested. It still had original 1996 vintage brake pads in it and stuff, so it was just a good buy. Can't ever go wrong with a rear-wheel drive car, right? Just so happened to work out that Josiah posted on Instagram that he was working on an SN95 kit. And I don't think a secret at this point that I'm a big fan of FDF products, so I contacted him right away with a picture of this and said, dude, coincidence, look what I just picked up as a backup car. He was reasonably happy, I guess, with some of the analysis and graphing and stuff I did on the suspension of Blue. So he was actually willing to sent me some prototype parts of the bolt-on knuckle kit, and you know, I just modified them until the geometry looked promising as far as the steering angle accurement and that kind of stuff goes, and gave him feedback, you know, to help him with development, since at the time he didn't have an SN95 available. I really enjoyed that part of it, and the more I dug into this, the more I realized that, you know, you read a lot about how on these cars you pretty much have to cut them all up in order to get any kind of decent angle out of them, because from the factory these have some of the least steering angle out of any car I've ever owned, just as bad as some front-wheel drive cars actually. But so the front cradle gets all chopped up. People chop the bumpers, the fenders, you know, just everything you can think of is getting molested, so to speak. And the more I worked with the FDF parts, the more I realized that, you know what, maybe I don't have to cut anything. Silly as that sounds for a missile like this, it's actually FD rulebook compliant, which I thought was fun. Then basically, I decided to take on this completely unnecessary goal to, best of my knowledge, build the first ever crab walking SN95 with absolutely zero cuts on any sheet metal. And that's why the car looks the way it does. It's not like the FDF kit limits you to running it like a stance car. That was by choice. So it's going to get addressed this season, don't worry. I'm going to be honest, I really just enjoyed how people would get bent out of shape over how this car sits, and despite it looking like it wouldn't, it actually works really well. So I enjoyed that, but this is not peak performance that's possible with this kit. So we're going to address that this season. And it's not going to be 15 degrees of negative camber right now. It's going to be something a lot more conventional. And then overall for this car, I just really love having a backup car where anything goes wrong with Blue, or Blue's tires blow up in the middle of a heat. Don't waste time in the pits, just hop in this and go. So you'll see it around some more. Okay, so if we're done with car 2, all that's left is to unveil car number 3. Naturally, I'm taking delivery of my 100% salt-free Florida car in the middle of a blizzard. So, welcome to Michigan. The conditions right now are certainly not ideal for a very cool unveiling video, but we'll try to make the most of it. Isn't winter just a magical time? Well, that was disappointing. So after this absolute disgrace of a burnout, what's next? As I said earlier, I wanted to talk about future plans real quick. So here it is. This is car 3. I love S550 Mustangs. I think they are, next to the C6 Corvette, the most capable drift chassis on the market. And so I'm really pumped to actually build one of these from scratch this season. So what are the future plans, you may wonder? Well, twofold. One, I'm a huge fan of team drifting. And as of the end of last summer, I'm actually part of a drift team. The information on all that is going to drop once the season actually starts. It'll make a lot more sense then. Secondly, and that's where this car comes in, is Project Pipe Dream. I decided to just go for it. I'm gonna see if I can go pro with this hobby of mine, and that is where this car comes in. I hope you decide to follow along with the build. She's going to go from 100% stock 5.0 GT Mustang to a comp beast, by my standards anyway. I already have a scheduled spot with Thompson Racing Fabrication to put a pristine pro cage into this thing. There is of course going to be the whole catalog of FDF parts thrown on this thing, and we're going to do something really cool, I think, with the tuning and the ECU. That's the plan anyway, as of right now. So I'm looking forward to seeing all that come to fruition. If nothing else, I can assure you that I'll be on track a lot this season. What I'm really looking forward to the most is shredding with as many of you guys as possible out there, and it's going to be a wild season. 2021 is shaping up to be amazing.